Welcome to Camp Chaos, where we celebrate the wild ride of modern womanhood.
Join us as we dish on motherhood, life's ups and downs, and all things pop culture that we know you want to talk about.
With special guests and expert insights, we're here to empower you through the chaos of everyday life.
Consider this your ultimate escape from the hustle and bustle. And as always, parental guidance suggested.
Camp is now in session.
Alrighty, wife, mama, businesswoman, our friend Lorissa Smith. Welcome to Camp Chaos.
Thank you.
We're so excited
to
have you.
be here.
Yeah.
I know. We're so excited to chat with you about everything motherhood and like you're influencing on social media. But we talked a little bit before off camera. Like, let's go back to the very beginning, because on Instagram, really, you look absolutely perfect and you really are in person. But I'm sure there's a lot that has gone into making you like the mom and the wife that you are today and how you built your family. So let's go back to childhood and like what that was like for you. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up here?
No, I grew up in Riverside.
Okay.
With my biological father's parents. Okay.
Wow.
So my biological father, my mom got pregnant in high school. So my mom had me. I actually attended my mom's high school graduation.
Oh, wow.
So my mom had me really young. And then I ended up I was raised until I was 14 or 15 with my biological father's parents. So my grandparents.
Wow.
So I lived in Riverside with them. And then
Can I ask why?
Yeah.
Like, was your mom like, I can't handle this?
Yeah, I think it was just like they were young.
She was 17.
She was young. She thought this is the best decision. Like, this is the best option. I did see her. And then when I was 8, my mom tried to get custody of me. And it didn't work. Like, it didn't go through. So basically, from the time I was 8 until I was about 14, we would go to court. We would go to I would meet with attorneys. We would do like mediation.
And you as a child, you probably by the state were given your own attorney, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I was a ward of the state at that point.
Oh, lovely. Enter all of your childhood trauma.
All the things. But now as an adult looking back, my grandma who raised me and my grandpa was there too, but she was very mentally ill, very mentally unstable. Like looking back, like obviously as a child, you don't know, like that's normal to you. But looking back, she had a lot of issues. So literally one day I was in not fourth grade. I was 14 in 8th grade. What is that? 8th grade?
Like,
I think it was like the end of 8th grade.
Right, freshman year.
She literally just, like, we had been going to court. We've been doing all this stuff for so long. And I'd kind of just been exhausted of her because she just put me through so much. But she literally one day was like, okay, I'm dropping you off at school and you're not coming back. Like, you need to just call somebody. So
Where were you going to go?
At 14.
At 14. So I called my mom. So luckily by this point, because I had been visiting my mom, like from 8 until then, like I had like court ordered visitation and,
So there was a relationship
There was a relationship there. Totally a relationship. At the time, my stepdad, who's now not my biological, but my real dad, because he adopted me when I was 30. So it's like a whole other thing. But at the time, my stepdad and my mom, I had a really good relationship with.
And how old was your mom?
Oh my gosh.
Young 30s, right?
Yeah.
Like our age.
30s,
I mean,
like our age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just called her and I was like, that's it. Yolanda's not coming back for me. Like, I can't go back there. So you have to come get me. And that was it. And she got me. She's like, okay, I'll be there. Picked me up from school. I had to finish out 8th grade, obviously. So I lived with like a random relative to finish out 8th grade. But then that summer before freshman year, I moved in with her. And then 9th grade, I went to Tesoro. Didn't know anybody. And I like just jumped into Tesoro.
Not only didn't know anybody, but it's like you're getting to know your mom too and your stepdad.
Yeah.
I mean.
Totally.
Wow.
I had never lived with them before.
When you say she was mentally ill, like was she mentally abusive to you or was she had demons? Like,
yeah, definitely. Like she just was like very malicious. And I think it was like maybe a form of control or whatever it was, but she just kind of had like these expectations of me. She always treated me like I was older than I was. Like she never treated me like a little kid. She hated my mom, like absolutely hated my mom, hated my dad, her own son. So it was always like, you're here because it's a favor that I'm doing to you. Like God. It was always very much like that. Like
you should be indebted to me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm doing
You're
this
so
for
lucky.
You. Yeah. Like from the time I was little. And I feel like this is important, like this isn't going to be like all sad, but I feel like it's important because now that I have kids, it's like I never ever want them to feel that way. So I'm very conscious, like any little thing, whether it be my mom or dad or whoever, even my husband, like I think we say things to little kids where we don't mean to say them to be hurtful or whatever. But I'm so conscious of, I'm like, don't say that to them because I feel like that'll sit with them, you know? And like I maybe take it too far sometimes.
Well, because you've walked those shoes and it's like imprinted on you.
Yeah.
Was your dad in your life during those earlier years? No. So you were just with his parents, but he was not in your life.
Yeah.
When you moved in with your mom, did your relationship go back right away? Did you ever like question why she wasn't there in the beginning? Like what was that transition like?
I did. I remember questioning it. And I think it was rocky at first. But I did, and I still feel this way. Like I kind of just got to a point where I'm like, you did what you did. Like you did what you felt you had to do. And it's okay. Like I just feel like we can't.
You've forgiven
maybe
her.
Not at first. Like maybe not when I was like 15 or something, you know. But I feel like I just got to a point where I'm like, I just want to have a good relationship with you. And we got to a point where we're so close. And even now we're like best friends. And then my dad, who adopted me when I was 30, he had been around for so long, and we were already just kind of like, we kind of just fell into like, let's just be close.
Did you get into like content creation on Instagram?
Okay. There's like this one moment. I know exactly when it happened. I went to this conference, this Hogue Women's Conference. And this woman, actually many of the speakers, but there was one speaker in particular who was like, you can't do it all. No one can do it all. Get used to failing. Be really good at failing at whatever it is. Like just know that every single day you're going to fail, whether it's at motherhood or being a wife or working or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking, I could not feel more opposite of this. Like my business is thriving. I'm a great mom. My kids are so happy and healthy. I have a great relationship with my husband. Everything that you're saying is
not
so
resonating.
Not it. And then I remember like getting in my car and thinking to myself, like, what if women were told, you can do it all. You got to shift the way that you do it. It's going to look a little different, but you can be really confident. And then I was like, what if that person is me? Like, what if I tell people this?
Sounds like a movie.
So I literally was driving home. I called my husband. I was like, I need to like channel this into something, insert the Instagram page. And I will say that I've never had the feeling of like I lost my identity. Like I hear that a lot.
With moms.
Yep. But I'm like, well, but what was your identity? Like, I feel like we think like this pivotal moment, like we have babies and then we lost our identity. But realistically, like this pivotal moment of having babies is the only permanent, like truly permanent thing we'll ever do. So what is it about everything pre-baby that was like our identity? You know? And like, why is it not we found our identity or like our identity shifted? Or like, why don't we take what we knew of our identity and apply that to motherhood? Like, why does it have to be we lost?
Right.
You know, and I feel like just that's maybe just what we hear. So we go with that. But for me, I'm like, what if I can like kind of put a spin on this? And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. Like I've had a ton of moms be like, you know, or even people that wanted to be moms, but thought, oh, I literally thought if I become a mom, I have to just, everything goes out the door. I'm like, no, that's not true. Like I do it. You see that I do it. Like it's not the most seamless, perfect thing every single day,
it's
but
the
like
beautiful
it's
part
not
of it, right?
Impossible, you know? So
I appreciate you saying that because I feel like people talk about motherhood so differently and everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But I think we do talk about it a lot of times with a negative aspect because it is literally the hardest thing you will ever do in your life. But there are ways and there should be people like you and us, hopefully, that are like making it still seem like a beautiful thing. Like you can have both. You can have it all. You can be really upset and like complain about your kids and also be so grateful that your kids are here.
It's kind of funny when I first started just joining the conversation, meaning like I would see like I wouldn't do this before, but now I see motherhood posts or, you know, different conversations and I'll kind of like start commenting. It is 50-50 what I get back. I get a lot of people that are like, you'll never know what it's like to be a stay-at-home mom and you just sound
You're
arrogant.
so lucky.
And I'm like, I actually do know what it's like because my company fortunately gives me 6 months of paid maternity leave. 6 months where I literally get to not open my computer and just be with my kids.
Wow.
And I've now done it twice. Once with one baby, now with 2 babies.
So you've done the stay at home.
I get it. Like I totally get it. But I feel like we've gotten for a mom to be super like feel really confident in her job, whatever that is, feel really confident in motherhood and as a wife, and we're calling that arrogance. We've lost something. Like we've lost something somewhere. Like we should be okay feeling happy or content or, you know, feeling like we're doing a good job, not feeling like, oh my gosh, where can I look for ways that it's hard? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because even on socials, when you go scrolling, like everything is so like this band together of life sucks as a mom. Like it's so hard and we need to open wine by 4 o'clock and you find somebody else to like pull you down. When in reality, it's like literally the most beautiful days of your life. And you're going to look back and wish that you could rewind and relive these moments.
Totally.
So I love that you're shifting that narrative of like, it doesn't have to be this doom and gloom. And yes, we can do it all. And yeah, we can try our best at all. Not every day is going to be perfect.
Totally.
But like, this is the best. These are the best days of our lives.
These are the best days of our lives.
But I also do think like, and my mother-in-law, I feel like there's this negative connotation. Like some of my husband's family, like they'll even look at me and be like, why do you have help with the kids? Like you should be the only person that's with your kids. I don't know if you've gotten that before.
Yeah, I get it a lot where they're like, well, you have a nanny. I'm like, well, I have a nanny because I work a job that requires me to be in meetings and whatnot. But it's funny too, and I people aren't gonna like this, but when I look at stay-at-home moms, I have a million stay-at-home mom friends. They're dying for a break. Like they're dying for a break. They're dying for something else, whether it's like a little Etsy business or something else.
A little podcast.
A little podcast. They're looking for something else. And so there becomes this like, you know, stay-at-home mom versus working mom thing.
Yeah.
Where there really should be like somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
Because every stay-at-home mom, I know so many stay-at-home moms that are like, I need a part-time nanny to have some time for myself. I need a break from my kids. I need to go away on vacation.
In order to be a better mom.
In order to be a better mom.
Yep.
Or for me, I don't ever want to be away from my kids, but I have help during the day. So I do feel like I get little breaks. So when we go on vacation, I'm like, you guys are coming. Like, I don't ever want to be away from you when I have a break from work. So it's like this middle
You have to find a balance.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's not, stay-at-home moms aren't sitting around being like, I'm doing it all and it's so great.
Right.
But also working moms aren't saying, oh my gosh, I'm doing it all, it's so great.
You
There's
have
like a
to
middle,
find a middle ground.
you know, and it doesn't need to be like this
Totally agree.
battle
Right.
that it is.
Right.
You know, this is harder, this is harder. Like it doesn't need to be that way.
Well, and then enter all the mom guilt too of like, oh, I am working, so I'm away from my kids. Am I missing things? But like, I've never spent a night away from either of my kids except when I went to give birth to the second.
Yeah, to give birth
and
to
there's
the
no prize for that. Like I need to. Like I tell my husband, like, we need to go away. Even if it's like locally, there's no prize at the end of the day of like, well, my mom didn't leave me. Like that's why you're screwed up.
Yeah,
Kid.
that's
Like,
why you are never coming back to the house. Yeah.
Totally. But it's like, I think that as moms, you feel this guilt of like, oh, if I just do it all and if I never leave them, like, I'm not going to screw them up or I'm going to get this like trophy. It's the weirdest thing.
It is really weird. And I'm on this kick right now about self-care because I kept seeing posts that were like, you know, a long uninterrupted shower is not self-care. Going to the grocery store alone is not self-care. And I'm like, in the early days, yeah, it is.
Totally.
Like, we can't be striving for like a wine trip to Napa for a like
or like a spa day. Yeah.
No, it's funny because my husband was like, well, what do you need for self-care? Like, do you want to go away? In my head, I'm like, I actually don't want to go away because I don't want to leave them. So no. But like Instagram's telling me like, you should go and do these things and be away and like have your independence and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't even want, like when I think about that, I don't want it. So I think self-care is finding little ways
of what's important to you.
Important.
I could not agree more.
Like,
for me, going to the grocery store and putting my headphones in, listening to a podcast and just like strolling the aisles feels
like
great. I can
therapy.
feel refreshed
Yeah.
from doing that for like 30 minutes and come back and I'm like, all right, ready to go.
You didn't need that trip.
Great.
I don't need the trip away. I totally agree
But
with
social
that.
media makes you feel like, oh my God, I need to be doing this.
That's basic human needs. That's not self-care. I'm like, okay, well, our basic human needs shift because now we have tiny humans
Right.
that we
that
have to look out
that
for. You know?
rely on us in these very early days. Like, do you feel like your childhood had anything to do with the way that you mother?
Yeah. Oh,
For sure.
My grandma had, you know, great qualities to an extent, but just awful. Like just not a good, like wasn't good to me. And then I obviously didn't have my mom around when I was little, at least not that I remember or, you know, can like pick from. And so there was a point in time, I remember when I had Layton, that literally every time he opened his, like when he woke up, I had to be there. Like I couldn't, like no one else could be there. I couldn't be out of the house. Like if I knew he's waking up from a nap, like I needed to, it was like I needed him to see, like you're here. And then I realized, oh, you guys aren't doing, like at New Moms Go, I'm like, oh, you guys don't do that? Oh shoot, okay. I think this is like, you know what I mean? Like you don't realize what. Yeah. And then I'm so much better, but like I'm different with Evander because I'm like, it's okay. Like, yeah, my husband can do this stuff, you know. Like Layton, I literally, like, I wanted to prepare for every little thing so that he would never cry. Like, I don't want you to get to a point where you're going to cry because I just need to fix it all. And, you know, and
you need to give what you didn't get.
What I didn't get. And I think now with the second baby, I'm a little, it's still there, but not as much as with the first one. But I do have to tell because sometimes my husband would get fresh. He's like, I can do it. Like, I can, like, just let me do stuff. I'm like, no. Like, I have to be the one. Like, Layton has to know
that you're
that
there.
I'm here.
Have you had a lot of therapy?
Yeah, a lot of therapy. I have a lot. It's so funny. I had the same therapist from when I moved, when my grandparents kicked me out and into adulthood until she finally retired. And she was like, you're my youngest but longest patient. And she gave me her daughter's wedding dress to wear. Like, that's how.
Oh, she's family.
Like, she like helped shape, you know, shape
that's really sweet.
So my like after party wedding dress was her daughter's. She's like, my granddaughters aren't ever going to want this, so I'm going to give it to you. Oh. But I do feel like I got to a point with therapy where it was like, I can't talk about all of these things that happened to me. Like, all these things kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And I just finally got to a point, because I would be like, oh my gosh, my grandma did that to me. And like, that was so
fucked
not
up.
Appropriate. Or my grandma did that to me and that was so not okay. But I finally got to a point of therapy where I'm like, I can no longer bring this stuff up. I just have to figure out
how to heal,
move on, and just how to be a good mom and a good wife and a good daughter and a good, you know, all these things. So I feel like therapy's good until it's not.
It's for you, I think, to come to the acceptance of like, what happened was not right. And that's okay. But now what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
And
totally.
You can't keep going back, I think, and blaming your parents or whoever raised you or situations that happened to you. And I come from a very privileged life and a very privileged seat saying that, where I had two loving, amazing parents growing up in a beautiful beachside community. So I feel like I'm a bitch for saying that. But I do think everybody has their shit and everybody's gone through shit.
Yeah.
And at a point, you do need to kind of look at it and think, okay, I need to stop blaming others.
You can't blame other people.
You can't blame other people. It's just what you're going to do from it, where you're going to go from it.
And it's just like, I literally thank God every day for, that was just my experience. That was just what I was meant to go through, you know, to become whoever I am still becoming.
Well, this incredible mom to these two little boys.
No kidding.
Badass wife.
Thank you.
Yeah. Looks like you have your shit together.
How did you become the researcher? Like, what made you want to do all the research? Because I think I'm a researcher, and then I go to your Instagram and I'm like, okay, I don't know anything.
Thank you. Two things. One, getting pregnant with Layton, working on getting pregnant with Layton. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, everything that I thought I knew. So then I started going down that rabbit hole. And then like I was telling you earlier, from the time I was 2 years old until into adulthood, like literally up until a year ago, I would get these crazy breakouts, like on my eyes, like around my face, all over. And I would go to doctor after doctor after doctor who couldn't figure it out. It was like, maybe it's chickenpox, you know, maybe it's shingles, maybe it's like in the herpes cold sore virus. We don't know what it is.
Rashes, acne.
Rashes, like big blisters everywhere. So I missed a lot of school. Like, I missed so much school. I literally was on a medication from 2 years old up until a year ago. I would just take the same medication to not get it because it's like, it's super contagious. It's like, you know, it's either in the shingles family or it's in the chickenpox family or whatever it is.
So you lived on a prescription.
And then finally, I'm thinking to myself, there has to be something.
Yeah.
Well, and like they say, your skin is something internally expelling. Like, and it's a sign, and it's giving you, it's your largest organ. It's giving you a warning.
Giving you a warning.
But what the hell is going on inside of me? And now you're just taking something to suppress it. But what am I not healing?
Correct. And I'm taking something to just suppress something that's in here that ultimately wants to get out. So anyways, I started going down this rabbit hole, and I found Dr. Olivia, who I see. She's Eastern medicine.
She's in Laguna Beach.
She's in Costa Mesa.
Okay.
And we did all this stuff, and she's like, yeah, you have like these emotional is like, you know, viruses and all these things kind of sit with emotional and trauma, and this all stuff like sits in your body.
That you're holding on to.
That you're holding on to. You know, take these herbs, take this We're going to get you on this protocol. I want you to go cold turkey from this medication that you've been on for 30 something years. And I went cold turkey and literally.
And this is before you got pregnant?
This was after I got pregnant. But I also will say that therapist, her name is Beverly. When I got to a point in therapy when I said, okay, I'm like good. Like I get it. This was all bad.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your time. I started poking around, like really poking around. And she was like, you know, these traumas sit with you forever until you get them out. And I started kind of going down that rabbit hole too about the mom being pregnant and the feelings and the food and everything that she goes through and how that resonates with the baby. Mm-hmm. And then how that comes out in like a personality of the baby.
Is that crazy? I get goosebumps when you say that. So they do say that like don't even let like the negative energy or negative people around a pregnant woman because what the fetus and what that baby feels.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. As moms, the postpartum phase is so hard. We are so focused on new baby that we often forget about our own mental health.
I know for me in my postpartum journey with my first baby, I really wish there was something like BetterHelp for me back then, and just to have that moment for me to tune out and focus on my own mental health.
I know therapy can be really scary, and as new moms, we don't even think about setting time aside for ourselves, which is what makes BetterHelp so great. You can do it in your own home, before the kids wake up, after they go to sleep, whenever is convenient for you.
If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Visit betterhelp.com/campchaos today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/campchaos.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. I went to Dr. Olivia, and this woman doesn't know. I mean, other than like, oh, I have cold sores.
Before this airs, you need to give me her contact so I can get in with her. Before we blow her up.
With her.
Yeah.
Both my kids see her now. But she said to me one day, she's doing all of her little testing, and she goes, was your mom a teen mom? And I go, yeah, she was. And she goes, did she have a really rough pregnancy? I'm like, yeah, she did. Like, was super sick. And she goes, did she, you know, she's like, I'm assuming the pregnancy was like a shock. And I go, yeah, she was like, has told me. I was so ashamed. And I had to go to my dad and say to my dad, oh my gosh, like your golden child is, you know, all this. And she goes, those feelings and all of that, like when everything that she went through and those pains and like this holy shit moment and this like, I'm so ashamed of myself. I'm so disappointed in myself. I'm so, you know, whatever it was, sits with you. Like that's you. And you gotta like
expel that.
You gotta like expel that. But I do remember thinking I have to shift my thought. Like even and I was really ill with Evander, but I literally, even if I just think, I'm so thankful that I have this baby. I'm so thankful I didn't have to go through IVF. I'm so thankful that I didn't have a miscarriage.
Do the gratitude thing.
Do the gratitude thing, and it's like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And there isn't.
Like I'm really happy. I'm really fucking happy. I'm so fucking happy. I'm crying. I'm fucking crying, and I'm happy.
But there is like this thing too on Instagram. I don't know if you guys see this. It's like toxic positivity. We can't be toxically positive. I'm like, I would rather be toxically positive than toxically negative.
Yeah.
Like there's.
Or just not toxic.
Or just zero toxic. Like, let's just be positive because we feel like we're allowed to be like, yeah, this sucks, but I'm still so happy that I have a baby. You know?
So happy.
Why does it have to be toxically positive? Because I don't want to sit and like be down in the dumps. I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird how social media wants to bring moms and motherhood down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right.
It's the clickbait weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is where I came up with the name Making Motherhood Positive Again. Because I feel like we just need that. Like we just need people who are like, yeah, that was like a shitty hour or day, but that's not like shitty motherhood, you know?
Did you start your Instagram when you were pregnant or after you had Leighton?
So when I got pregnant with Leighton, so I was on the show Holy Moly, the golf show on Netflix. And I had a bunch of male followers. I got a bunch of male followers from that, like golfer male followers.
Okay.
And then right around the time I got pregnant,
Are you a golfer?
Yeah.
Oh, cute. Gosh, you've got all like
a lot of weird hobbies. I have a book club. You want to join that?
You're a man's dream.
Do you hear that, Michael? I just, because of what I went through as a child, when I moved out of I got kicked out. I say moved out. I got kicked out. They like harassed me, like super harassed me.
After
this all ties in. And they were like, you know, they were super crazy religious. You know, you're now with the devil. You're now a devil worshiper. You're a devil follower.
Oh, shit.
You know, your grandmother had a stroke and you caused it. It was like just crazy, crazy harassment after I moved out. They kicked me out. I'm like, you did this. You're the ones who told me to leave. But, and I had this crazy, weird falling out with my biological father that I had a conversation with him where I'm like, this is crazy. I don't know you. Like, you can't yell at me and
you had to be the adult really fast.
Really fast. So because of all of this, I've had them like reach out and like random people come out of the woodwork and ask for money and just weird shit. I was like, I told my husband, I do not want our kids on social media because I don't want them to even remotely know this craziness. And at the time when I was pregnant with Leighton, my, at the time, stepdad came to me and said, I want to adopt you. I was 30. I was pregnant with Leighton. And he goes, I want to adopt you. I want your kids to be my grandchildren. Like, I don't want there to be any question or anything about that. This is your grandfather, Papa. This is who he is. So I didn't want my kids on social media. But then when I kind of got back in the game, I thought, okay, there has to be like a little bit of an element of them on social media. And I don't ever just post like, here's their face, but they're there and you can kind of see what I'm doing because I feel like it's important for other moms or people who want to be moms to see me with them and how to interact with them.
The thing about social media and posting your kids is so hard. Like, I think every day it's a battle. Like, I go from Taylor's like, you're going to have to share more of your life. And I'm like, I'm private, I'm public, I'm private. I don't need these people. I want to clean out my Instagram. I want to delete. Like, I get the ick. And then now I'm like, okay, I'm committed to sharing, but I'm like, how do I not share them? They're so cute. But then you see like the world is disgusting. The world is really dark.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that don't share their kids on Instagram and I'm like fully back that. But I think there is this level of like, do you, don't you? And you just kind of have to make the decision and go with it.
Yeah. And I have given the rule to my family knows, like, you're not taking pictures of their face and posting it on, you know. I think I was pregnant with Evander.
Okay.
So I had now gone through
your first round of motherhood.
My first round. I got pregnant when my baby was 4 months old, 5 months old. Now I'm going through the second round. And I had done an immense amount of research with Leighton. I remember asking people, like, what baby books do I read? What baby book? And everyone was like, don't read baby books, just wing it. And well, it's not. I'm not a
You're a researcher.
Kind of a gal.
Yep.
So I had all this information. And then I got pregnant with Evander. So then when I went into being pregnant with Evander, I was so confident. Like, you
just did it.
I was like, I am going to crush it. And I went into labor. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having contractions. We're going to have a baby. Like, it was the best thing ever. And I really just had this over, like, God or the universe or whatever was like, give this information to other people. Because there's other people out there who want this information, who maybe don't have the time, the resources. I feel so blessed that I actually can hire a Dr. Olivia or hire a baby PT or hire, 5 lactation consultants. And they give me all this information.
Share it.
Give this information and give it out there because there are people who don't have the luxury of doing that. They don't have the luxury of hiring a sleep coach and picking their brain for 6 weeks. And I have so much joy and happiness around motherhood that it's like, take all this, bundle it up, and share it with whoever.
Well, and it sounds like it fulfills you.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Like I did, Dr. Olivia was like, your work and what you do with your life, you should be in absolute bliss all the time. Yeah. Like, if what you're doing isn't creating a blissful bubble,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah. Do something else. So,
are you in bliss with me?
Is this bliss?
Are you feeling bliss?
Yes.
Well, but like, Taylor's going to rethink her life right now. She's like, actually.
No. But I think, like, even for people who maybe can't have access to all those people that you said, a lot of people don't have time to do this research. No. Like, for me, I had a lot more time when I was pregnant with Miller and I did research, not nearly to your level, but like what felt good to me. But then after with Palmer, it's like, I'm just doing what I did the first time.
Yeah, copy, paste.
I don't have time. Yeah. So what you're doing is like, you're giving people short, concise things that they can take if they want. And if they want like quick research, you're like, I did it. Here's what I found. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. No judgment.
Because there's a lot of opinions too.
There's a lot of opinions. And I get people all the time that are like, you really shouldn't be using those cutting boards. Oh, gosh. And I'm like, get out of here. Do you know I'm cutting up a straw? I don't care. Like,
right. It's fine.
We're going to be fine.
Yes.
There's like this extreme thing where I do think with everything in motherhood, everything is like, could be an extreme, but then it's really daunting to mom. Just like people who want to become moms, but they're hesitant to get pregnant because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to give up. It's like, no. Just stop listening to people who are like so crazy extreme, you know?
Yes.
And I think the same thing goes with the crunchy community.
Let's get into There's levels of crunch.
Let's get into the crunch.
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, like how crunchy are we?
Well, I say medium crunchy.
Okay.
That's my thing. I'm medium crunchy. I'm crunchy where it's convenient for me.
Which is perfect. Conveniently crunchy.
If it's not convenient,
yeah.
I'm not going out of my way. Like if I can roll up to Sephora and grab, or Roots, I love Roots in Laguna Beach. If I can roll up and grab like an equivalent makeup product and it looks great.
Wonderful.
Perfect. If I have to go and freaking muddle something and rub it on my face, like I'm not doing it. You know, it's like there's like a happy medium. My kids eat In-N-Out all the time. They just do. Because sometimes I'm like, we're all hungry. I'm in a hurry. I have a Zoom meeting in 5 minutes. We're eating In-N-Out. So it's just medium. It's just like where it's convenient for me. And I honestly don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me.
Good.
So when people are like, can't believe your kids do that, I'm like, I don't give a shit what your kids do.
Well, because I feel like once you go to the crunchy side, if you open yourself up to like, oh, I'm a no tox, like you're just limiting things in your household, people expect you to be all or nothing. And it's like, that does not have to be the case at all. Like
totally.
I was making my own baby food, but it's like, I would never share that because I don't want to open up my Instagram or my DMs of like, well, you shouldn't use that cutting board. You should use all wood, like how you're saying.
Yeah.
But I do think what you went through as a child, like having maybe a vaccine injury, I know we touched on this a little bit before talking. Can you talk about that and like how that kind of led you down this rabbit hole?
Yeah, I feel like now what I know as an adult and doing research, and obviously COVID, I think kind of like sparked the researcher in everybody. So I'm researching all this, crazy stuff. I'm researching all the vaccines. I'm researching every little thing that goes into my kid's body, my body. Now, again, sometimes I'm like, I don't love the ingredients, but we do it.
Yeah.
But I do think looking back, I think all of that stuff that I was dealing with on my face, I think it was a vaccine injury. It's like 1991 chickenpox vaccine. And I think it was just like a chickenpox vaccine gone wrong. I'm no doctor. That's just what my gut is telling me. And if you're telling me like, 50 doctors can't tell me what's wrong. They have no idea where it's coming from. This is a bad reaction of something. It's the herpes virus, the shingles virus, and it keeps it's like something went wrong somewhere, So I do think it was that. I think it was a vaccine injury. And I brought it up to my mom and I'm like, no, again, I'm not, you did the best that you had with the research you had. She's like, I could see that. Like, I don't know. The doctor just said, do it. And we did it. And that was it. So I think even that and going through all of that has made me so much more conscious about what I do and what I put into my kids. And again, within reason. Like,
what are some of the like day-to-day things that you do for medium crunch with your kids?
I think the biggest things are my EMF rocks, my grounding rocks. They're everywhere. And that's like the other thing. I'm going to have the Nanit. I'm obsessed with my Nanit. I wouldn't survive without the Nanit. I work in technology. I literally sell, I'm sorry, but I sell 5G. I just do. Like,
do you have a body well on yours? I have like
I need to.
I'm like, I have the
like
body
the necklace, like the rocks.
I know.
But it's like, I can't get away from that. I can't quit my job. This is what I sell. This is what I do. I have to be on Zoom. I have to have internet. So I do the grounding bags. People will be like, you're counting.
It's bogus. Yeah,
people like,
and people do like say like, oh, it's bogus. Whatever. If it makes you feel good, I'm trying it. Yeah.
Cleaning products are a big one. I'm like in constant trial and error because there are cleaning products that are clean, but they don't work.
Right. Like, okay, Branch Basics I love. Branch Basics is my jam.
Yeah, I'm not mad
about it. And also like just use a little vinegar. Vinegar and water.
So cleaning products
smells like vinegar in here.
Everywhere. It's like, that's one that I love to look at and like research.
It's cleaning products.
Yeah. Because they're everywhere. And then my one thing that I'm a stickler on is don't wear your shoes in my house. Just take your shoes off.
Oh my gosh, Kendra's the same way.
Take your shoes off. There's mold. There's shit. There's I don't know what. Take them off.
Feces.
And I have babies that are literally like licking
on the floor,
eating puffs off the floor like they're a dog.
Okay, Larissa, do you not die when somebody walks in your house and all you can think about is like, when are you going to take off your shoes?
I know, literally.
When are you going to take off your shoes? When the fuck are you going to take off your shoes?
And I'm like, when is
it controls me
to say?
You know what I do? I blame my husband. I say, oh my God, my husband. I blame my husband. I'm like, he's so psycho. And because we have the kids on the floor, but like,
See, I don't. I'm like ballsy. I'm like, okay, listen, you've heard me say this before. Just take them off. Like, put them over there. I don't even care.
Well, I love that you came into my house and you took off your shoes. It's like literally I'm like, oh, you and I are going to vibe.
Yeah. But like even
There's just certain things that you just don't do.
Certain things. And I feel like that's the other thing about motherhood is like, figure out what works for you.
Yeah. Right.
Like maybe you don't give a shit about the shoes, but maybe you're like, oh my gosh, like we have to eat all our, I don't know, whatever it is, pick it and just own it and then run with it and just kind of like not give a shit what anybody else thinks.
And it's like, okay for all of us to coexist. Like I'm friends with you and I'm friends with you. And you guys, I would love to be like medium crunch. I just don't have it in me. Like it's not on my top priority list when it comes to my kids. But when I look at your Instagram, I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm going to switch out my wipes or like
I can do that.
Yeah, I can do that. But I just didn't think about it truthfully.
Yeah.
And like when I'm going to get cleaning products, I'm at Costco and I'm like, okay, what's this? Great. Grab this.
Yeah.
But if I see your Instagram and I'm like, oh, she said this one's easy. Like, Drew, let's grab this one instead because it would be better for our household. It's just not like the most important thing like to me. Even shoes, like I'm bad with shoes, but I've gotten better literally since being at your house. Like I have been more barefoot at my house than I ever have before.
Well, and
I always
feel
wear
like,
slippers, but
I feel like we should all be barefoot anyway. Like go outside
grounding,
and go. Yes.
Yeah.
After you start researching and like I'm
see, maybe that's why I haven't gone down the rabbit hole.
Like once you go down the rabbit hole, it's hard to knock. It's very
really,
overwhelming.
it's really, I will say, because a lot of what you read, and it makes me happy what you hear or what you're saying about my page, because I want it to be, what I want to come off is like, here's an easy little nugget. Like it's very easy to like, if you're going to go buy wipes, just order pipette and then click, switch, easy. But it is really overwhelming. And then I think that's why people are like, throw it out the window. I don't give a shit. Like just, I need my own sanity. Mm-hmm. And the crunchy community, for me, it's like, this is a lot. Like this is a lot to process. It's really scary. And then you can kind of start spiraling like, oh my God, my kid is sick. And I can't give them Tylenol because then they're going to da-da-da-da. And it's like, just be, like I think it can almost go too far.
For sure.
Yeah.
Where we need the medium. Like we need the medium where it's like, it's okay. Just do your best at it.
You do you
thing,
and don't
like,
feel guilty and move on.
But
there are amazing options now. Like even like candy, like there's so much red dye and like yellow 6, like red 40, all this stuff. It's like, how are we fucking giving this shit? If you look at European countries where it's outlawed. Follow that. It's outlawed. Like, and there's other options like the Good Smarts candies. Sponsor us, Good Smarts. They're the best candies. Like I buy them for Zane, for my son, and I eat them. It's like, okay, so it's right next to like some of this shit's really easy to make a swap.
You just have to know. And I feel like a lot of people just don't know what they're looking for.
No. Yeah. And I feel like, at least for me, I'm only speaking for myself, sometimes branding or marketing like will just make it so
water
easy.
Wipes.
Water wipes. It's like 99% water. I'm like, yep, great.
And
just
like
putting water on there.
Toxicity.
I know.
Yes, but I had no idea just because I just looked at that like one little thing and I was like, oh, well, I'm just using water.
So I'm writing an ebook right now, which is like, if you're a mom, you become you're a mom. The second you become pregnant, you're a mom. But you're pregnant, you just like, where do I start? And it's all these little things. Like, look out for this. Just don't freak out. Make a decision. Okay, do I really care about the detergent, or do I want to get like the 6-pack of 100% organic cotton t-shirts and like switch them out every other time? It's like little things. Don't listen to the marketing. Don't listen to like the fear tactics. There's so much fear. Like your baby could choke, so you need like these 6 items. I'm like, no, you don't. Just, you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's so much fear and negativity around motherhood. So the ebook is written in a way that's like, if I were going to say this to my best friend or my sister,
here's what I would give.
Here's what I know about being a mom of 2.
Yeah.
And being a good researcher, and like, just take it and then use this and then go make your own decisions. Like, you don't have to listen to what I do, but
what I've researched and done and taken the time to do, now you take what you need from it. And
the mistakes that I've made, like I've purchased a bunch of shit where I'm like, I did not need that. And that was totally a marketing thing that got me, or whatever,
Well, and also like the parenting books, because I read some when I was pregnant with Miller, like are so dated. It's time for an update.
Yeah.
And the ones that are like more mama natural and like the crunchy ones, it's like, oh, I need to do a home birth with no epidural and I can't circumcise my son. Like, where's the in between? Yeah. There's got to be some
People
balance.
write to me like, did you do a home birth? I'm like, absolutely not.
No,
we did not.
See, you're medium crunch.
Medium crunchy.
Crunch.
All right, we're going to play a fun game of like, what is this called?
I don't know, the crunchinometer.
Never have I ever.
Never have I ever.
Crunchy.
The crunchy mom version. Okay. Never have I ever used cloth diapers.
I have.
I have not.
I have not. So you have to put a finger down.
Oh, okay.
What was that experience like? Or why did you stop? Too messy.
Because it's fucking awful.
I started out, I brought my own cloth diapers to the hospital. Like, this is it. This is what we're doing. And then
Your
I'm
poor
like,
husband.
holy shit. It's a lot of shit.
No pun intended. Yeah.
And it just, no. And then you know what? It got me down the path of finding Kudos, which I was like number 4 subscriber of Kudos. 100% organic cotton. No.
Do they work though? Like I use Coterie and I love Coterie. And I know that they're not
day and
the
night.
best.
They're insane.
Okay,
good. We don't have leaks. We don't get diaper rash. So that sent me down that research because I'm like, okay, if I can't do cloth, I need the best.
Yeah.
You know. Anyways. So.
Wow. Okay. Alternative medicine. Like homeopathy.
Oh yeah.
That's all
the way.
That's all the way.
You see the medium crunches to the none at all. I'm
like, read the frequency of Evander and tell me.
Oh my God, we've had both of my kids. I drove my kids to Ojai to see a doctor.
For frequency?
Yes. And then brought them back the same day. My husband's like, where are you going? He has my location.
Just go to Olivia now.
I know. Well, we'll switch. But this doctor was incredible.
Okay.
Homeschooling. Do you plan to homeschool?
Oh yeah.
Really?
You are.
Yeah. Can I take my kids to your house?
I know. Can you open up a little?
Okay. So are you doing a pod?
I want to. I mean, I feel like I'm far out from it.
Okay.
How old are your boys?
Just turned 2.
Okay.
In 10 months.
Oh my God, you poor thing. You know, it's so funny. I feel like people used to say, oh, homeschool kids are freaks. I think the fucking kids that go to school are freaks.
I'm like, you're a cat? What do you mean you're a cat?
You're a cat? You're a furry? Yeah. No, you're not. Cats don't go to school.
You're not.
We are lucky and we have an incredible school that's at somebody's home in Corona del Mar that Zane goes to. It's amazing.
I have a friend who's starting there next week.
Yeah, it's obsessed with it. But I'm always interested in a pod. My husband's like, no.
I think the
pod's great.
Because you kind of have more control and who's in the class.
And they have friends.
You know, yeah.
Okay, and for people who don't know, what is the pod?
Oh, a pod is just like your homeschool, but like here's 8 kids, 9 kids
who are doing the same homeschooling program.
Yeah. And sometimes they even alternate to other people's houses. Okay. Or it's like always at one person's house. But you have one teacher that like the parents all pay for.
Got it. Love that. Okay.
I've been trying to solicit a teacher. There's like 2 that I'm like,
let's do this.
Let's do this thing.
You have your pod partner right here.
Okay,
yeah.
Here we
go. Okay, last one. And honestly, I'm really scared to ask it because I'm really bad about this. Screen time. Do you allow your kids to watch screens?
Not really.
God, you're so good.
He loves The Grinch.
Oh, so does my son.
The classic Jim Carrey
Yes,
Grinch.
the classic Grinch.
But it's so funny because he'll watch like 2 minutes of it and he's like, okay, I'm over it. I'm done. And I'm now at a point, like if I'm alone with both boys and I just need to make dinner, I'm like, please, for the love of God, watch something. Like just sit here and watch a show. And he won't. They're not into it.
Okay.
Oh, you got lucky then. In a way. But you also don't just put it in front of them. Here you go. You're forcing it.
Okay. Tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at Lorissa Violet. And I have just recently launched the website, Lorissa Violet. So everything that's on Instagram, but just a little bit more detail. It's the anti-blog. So you're not going to hear, or you're not going to see like, it all started back in, it's just quick, easy, digestible. If you need a packing list, if you need a diaper bag list, if you need, a take on breast pumps. It's just quick, easily digestible. You don't have to read all the BS. It's just
we don't have the time, right?
We don't have the time.
Yeah, let's give it to me.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. With the fluff.
I don't know how you do it. Thank you so much.
This is so fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is awesome.
This is great.
Thanks for tuning in to Camp Chaos. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our show. Connect with us on social media at Camp Chaos Podcast. Until next time, campers.